Hello, I'm the Angry Spork, taking issue with Batman TMNT Adventures. Last time, vanishing Arkham inmates were popping up in New York City on an alternate Earth. Between Joker clashing with Shredder and Batman and his allies, Robin and Batgirl, encountering 4 mutant turtles and their human Konoichi in training, there was laughter, contusions, and near impalings. A standard Wednesday evening, with a botanical twist when mutant snakeweed was seen in alliance with poison ivy. The cover of issue 3 shows Ivy posing in front of Snakeweed while he restrains our protagonists. Well, most of them. Oddly enough, April is nowhere to be seen. Maybe there wasn't room for her, or someone thought 2 redheads were enough. The credits page is a really nice-looking silhouette of Pam and her new minion, outlined in green. It looks like a poster for an animated musical feature called The Nightmare Before Earth Day. And even though he'll only executive produce, people will think that Tim Burton directed it. After Michelangelo sums up recent events, like how they're on better terms with the bats and Snakeweed was blown up previously, yeah, he got better, and doing so nonchalantly as he fights off vines, he declares this the best day ever, as we get a splash page of the others fighting with varying success. April looks ready to fight a vine, but looks like she's getting bored from waiting. On the Lower West Side, Joker still has his chicken bombs, saying New York is his kind of town, and he'll take it. An insinuation Shredder doesn't care for, and nor do his other mutant goons, Tiger Claw, Fishface, Razar, and Baxter Stockman. Possibly the world's creepiest bobsled team.
We're different. People are always afraid of what's different.
I did kind of find it odd that they never really gave Baxter a mutant pun name like everyone else, but they did toy with the name Buzzkill once in the show. Mr. J reconsiders, exchanging not blowing them up for safe passage for himself and Harley, offering to shake on it. That doesn't seem to work, so he hits Saki with some of his laughing gas, incapacitating the gang lord and asking about getting himself a pair of bruisers like the unconscious Bebop and Rocksteady. So, Joker's in the market for some muscle that he himself easily defeated? We might want to reconsider the idea that he's some kind of criminal genius. After telling his little brother to focus, Leo instructs Batguy that their foe's weakness is his heart. Understood. Robin, use your Bat MP3 to play a 90s love ballad quick. Guns N' Roses are our only hope now. Unfortunately, that's when an armored carapace shudders over that vulnerability, something Batgirl figures wasn't entirely Snakeweed's doing. An enamored Donatello, needing a save from April to refocus, notes that their enemy isn't just bigger than before, but much more precise. Bats sends Robin after the one actually in control, and Raph goes to back him up, and exchange enjoyable snark about each other's names. They find Ivy just as Batman finds explosives don't have their usual effectiveness against mutant plant men, and the red-clad warriors are quickly ensnared, and immediately Robin begins talking about how he kept killing plants he'd buy for his dorm room. Perfect thing to announce to the metahuman that favors flora over people. Even Raph is confused until the Boy Wonder clarifies the mistake he repeated with each plant: overwatering. A Batarang frees Raphael, who's taken the hint and proceeds to tackle Ivy into the nearby water. Weird that it didn't look like she looked away from them at any time and somehow didn't see the 4 to 5 foot turtle charging at her. With a near drowning, Ivy is KO'd, and so is Snakeweed. The former sent back through the Krang portal, leaving Raph 10 seconds, not 10 minutes, to pull his arms back. Which, if memory serves, means Ivy is sopping wet on a cold Gotham rooftop. Can plants catch the flu? Though the more pressing question is whether or not the portal was somehow coded to her DNA in such a way to affect how long it stayed open after she passed through? Or maybe silverware just doesn't make the best tricorder antenna. They all meet up in the Turtles' lair, where Robin confirms everyone's names, but calls Mikey Caravaggio. At first, this sounded like a really weird mistake to make, as our Orange Party dude was named after the guy who sculpted the statue of David, and seems to have only had a mononym. But there really was a Renaissance-era artist by the name Caravaggio. Full name, Michelangelo Merisi da Caravaggio,
making this an incredibly clever joke.
Leo explains about the portals, usually operated by aliens called the Krang, who, much like Snakeweed, they'd thought they'd seen the last of. Other, more awkward conversations follow just before Master Splinter walks in, to Batgirl's surprise. "Everyone's seeing the giant rat man, right?" "Yeah, that's sort of our dad." "Oh, sure. Why not?"
And I bet he's already anticipating that Donatello's going to ask that Babs stick around to train to be a Kunoichi just like April, a request that will be shot down, and shot down again if this version of the Turtles ever meet G.I. Joe and Donnie takes a liking to Scarlet, and Jean Grey if they ever meet the X-Men, and Mary Jane if they ever meet Spider-Man.
An interruption of his radio program leads Splinter to turn on the TV, which is conveniently reporting on the news of a riot of panicking citizens in the East Village, and "Oh, sweet mercy, is that guy on fire?" I mean, it's probably in the background, but the juxtaposition leads to some terrifying implications. At the same time, Donnie's scanner picks up a portal in Chinatown, so Batman suggests he, Leo, and Raph see to the riots while the others secure the portal, adding that they should do their best to stay out of sight. Leave it to Batman to tell that to trained ninjas. That's our Batman! Donnie and the others take the battle van, in which driver Mikey insists on playing a tape of his favorite songs, specifically Wingnut Rap, a spoof of Vanilla Ice's Ninja Rap from Secret of the Ooze, a parody that, I kid you not, is about a Batman pastiche in the Turtles universe called Wingnut. Possibly because it doesn't look like Michelangelo is paying attention to the road, Babs seems fairly annoyed by this. But soon the music overtakes her.
Though in that pose, you'd be forgiven for thinking she finally managed to scratch an itch that was just out of reach for so long. Or she's doing an impression of a chimpanzee for no reason. It's an odd pose, is what I'm saying.
They reach their destination, and Robin notices something moving in the shadows. A footbot, one given a creepy makeover. Man, the makeup ladies at the mall have gotten real aggressive lately. In the East Village, there's plenty of people rampaging in fear, but no Krang. Leo's ready to get to work, but Batman puts on a mask and tells the Turtles to stay back, and watch out for a guy dressed like a scarecrow. Though not, hey, this is a gas that causes hallucinations based on your worst fears, so here's a couple extra masks, which would have been real useful on the next page, where Leo sees his brother as a vengeful zombie, and Raph sees a giant cockroach. They're called to safety inside the building by Dr. Jonathan Crane. In civilian clothes!
The one thing the world's greatest detective didn't account for. His rogues wearing normal attire while out in the open. Once Bane gets himself some sweatpants, flip-flops, and an I'm With Stupid t-shirt, Batman is done for.
If issue 4's cover is any indication, it means Batman and Leonardo are such best friends now they're comfortable swapping their signature weapons, while Scarecrow watches from the background, and amorphous green ghosts, somewhat resembling the Krang, bellow upwards. It feels like the Ecto-1 could show up at any minute. The title page is delightfully creepy, with Crane's red highlighted image and the bat-shaped maw in front of a more painted-looking Batman and Leonardo. Their eyes appear empty, as if their souls have been stolen, like they're little more than zombie husks. To laugh, so not to cry.
Recommended tactic every time DC announces a new reboot, event, soft reboot, or other exciting news. Results may vary. Consult your doctor to see if denial is right for you.
Bats makes his way through the fearful crowd when he spots Scarecrow, having apparently done a quick costume change, I guess, when he's suddenly in front of the theater where his parents were shot. Everything looks in ruins, and there are tags made by Riddler and Penguin. It's apparent that his gas mask is now useless when someone dying in a street calls for Bruce. For once, it's not his parents, but his surrogate father, Alfred, asking why he left Gotham at the mercy of his many rogues.
Wow, Condiment King made it into Batman's fear hallucination. That's going to be like a badge of honor amongst Batman's rogues or something. Either that, or they would be insulted that someone would consider Condiment King on the same threat level as Clayface or Killer Croc or the rest of them.
This allows Scarecrow time to use Batman's one weakness against him, a surprise shovel to the face. We go to the Joker on the phone with his bubbly sidekick, who's found enough ingredients for Joker gas to spread across Manhattan. Their whole conversation is actually pretty adorable, and a good example of why I liked their classic relationship in the first place. As Joker plays with Shredder's signature helmet, we can see Uroku Saki in the background, still mirthfully incapacitated.
It is rather strange that none of the mutants described previously as Shredder loyalists have taken initiative and torn Joker to bits. The one possible exception would be Baxter, but that still leaves 3 sets of fangs and claws to make for one sad clown. Sad and bleeding.
Team Portal Investigation has moved to a rooftop with 2 active gateways, fighting off footbots as Donatello finds an unusual chip, one he can only be certain doesn't look like it came from the Krang. After surmising the Joker must be in charge of the Foot Clan now, Robin suggests letting one bot escape to follow its new boss, and Michelangelo eviscerates the straggler. It's not really that big of a deal since the Turtles have known Shredder's address for years. Like April says, it's complicated, but whatever the case, they'll need to regroup before they can move forward. Batman wakes up shackled to the wall alongside Raph and Leo, and the hallucinations are still going strong. His allies contact him, and it's not until they mention that Joker's involved that Batman snaps out of it and cracks Crane in the face, breaking his chains and scaring the Doctor through the nearby portal. And yeah, something about his pose and expression seems off to me, but maybe it's the angle. Looks more like he's prepping for yoga or something. Anyway, Harley is supervising the footbots that are handling the toxic chemicals she found, when April, Batgirl, and Donnie show up, though instead of a fight, Harley implies that her beau's plans are getting out of hand. But of course it's just a feint, so she can introduce her pet hyenas Bud and Lou, mutated, and sporting some of Joker's old clothes, I guess. Nice touch.
I'm not gonna lie, I kind of want to see how these two would do the who's on first routine. It might involve someone getting maimed, but hey, it'd still be funnier than a lot of what passes for comedy these days.
Joker is devising the most clever means of distributing the gas, getting no help from Stockman when Donnie slides in with Lou right after, kicked through the door by April and Batgirl. Bebop suggests helping out, but Rocksteady holds them all back. That clown makes mockery of Foot. This fight belonged to him. Alone.
Besides, we do nothing when Shredder attacked and Foot taken over. Why do something now? It only started rocking boat.
While Mikey watches the portals and Robin begrudgingly watches Mikey, Batman has somehow gotten Leo and Raph to Shredder's lair, and they're still feeling the fear gas. Bats tells them that what they're experiencing are just chemical-induced hallucinations, but the Joker is very real, and so is the threat he poses to their world. Their choices are to continue seeing everything through Scarecrow's horrific lens, or put a stop to the clown's plans. He enters the fray, taking out one hyena and mildly endangering Donnie in the process, only to be grabbed by the other. Raphael and Leo, encouraged by how certain they are that Master Splinter could shrug off the gas, aid the Dark Knight, with the mention of the rat's name stirring something other than laughter in Shredder. As Joker prepares to unleash enough Joker gas for the whole room, he's struck from behind by Saki, taking back his helmet, his status, and letting our heroes leave with the clowns.
If you were hoping for a fight between Bats and Shredder, that sadly doesn't happen in this series. And trust me, I feel your pain. Maybe they couldn't work it into the story, maybe they didn't want to be predictable since there was technically such a clash in the more serious crossover. Maybe Shredder needed time to recover and think of torture methods to punish his hench mutants for not lifting a paw, fin, or feeler when Joker took over. Can't say for sure.
The teams reconnoiter on a rooftop. Batman perched on a higher ledge because if he isn't brooding or punching, he just doesn't know what to do with himself. Donnie declares that contrary to what he'd previously assumed, the Krang are not responsible for the portals. Someone else tapped into the alien's frequency, and used the beacons, like the one Donatello found, that double as receptors, to control minds from far away, likely originating from Batman's Earth. The final splash page is of the final Arkham escapee, and mastermind of the chaos, Jervis Tetch, the Mad Hatter, having tea amongst some spiders and non-Batman references. I recognize Angry Birds and Usagi Yojimbo, that's about it.
Maybe this was as much a surprise to you as it was to me when I first read it, but they had some clever foreshadowing. Two-Face's reference to going down the rabbit hole, and Hatter's cell being the first we see on the left in the panel when Batman is looking around Arkham Asylum. It's apparent, but not all that obvious, and possibly enough to give away the reveal, but it really isn't in your face.
These issues did a nice job of keeping the pacing going and raising the stakes. Joker quickly taking over Shredder's operation with seemingly no obstruction by his muscle does seem worthy of the same criticism I gave Batman Daredevil, when Scarecrow used a handful of goons to usurp Kingpin. However, maybe because this story is based on the cartoon versions of these properties, and I'm familiar with them, it doesn't seem like that much of a stretch to me. Or maybe I'm being more forgiving. I do take some more umbrage with the unanswered question of how Batman got 2 fear-gassed turtles out of Crane's lair and up several stories to Shredder's place. Saki snapping out at the Joker gas by focusing on his nemesis makes a kind of sense, a nice parallel to how the Caped Crusader fought through his trauma. Speaking of, I do wish we got to see those two tussle, not just because their fight in the other crossover left a lot to be desired, but what are you going to do? Also, something I thought was kind of funny, April and Batgirl's expressions look straight out of an anime after the resident pervert does or says something inappropriate. O'Neill looks like she's the character that takes a deep breath to calm herself before throwing said pervert out the window from 3 stories, and Babs looks like the anime girl that wastes no time punching him in the face.
Next week, we look at the conclusion of this fanciful adventure. Can it maintain its quality for the long run, or will we end up dining on turtle crossover soup? Which I guess means it was a bad outcome. I don't know where I was going with that anyway. I'm the Angry Spork, and man, have I got issues.